All right.
I'm mad. I
mad.
came in like 2 hours earlier today to sort everything out, and all I did was do classic Northern Board style. I made an enormous mess, and then took a bunch of phone calls, and now this is why it's trashed here.
Hey guys, let's do an intro for the new listeners listening.
That was
to
the intro.
us.
It's just me yelling at people that I'm mad.
People know what Northern Boards is.
For the
We
second
know we're
episode,
messy.
right? So, right, I'm William, and
Morning, William.
Morning, William. Alcohol's anonymous.
Present. What do you do, William? Where are you from?
oh yeah, I'm William from Eternal Magic. So I sell singles for not that kind of singles, but I sell trading card singles for Magic.
I do sell those kind of singles.
For One Piece card game, Flesh and Blood, all sorts of card games, and yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. I'm Dan. I'm the owner of Northern Boards.
You're the man.
I'm a second-rate truck driver, third-rate roster engineer, and first-rate game club owner. We'll take care of that.
Let's go.
I'm glad I got to work at least for the game side of things.
You can be a truck driver any day you want, Kang.
Oh, man. We got to get bigger first, right? At the gym. So, well, I'm Kang. Sometimes you'll find me on all the boards. So, and that's my intro.
Oh, you don't have 3 other jobs as well?
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
it's crazy. I have a reasonable human number of occupations.
So I send the podcast number 1 off to one friend. My child listened to it.
Yeah.
He didn't want to. And
Okay.
one friend I played World of Warcraft from in the US, and he listened to it. And our one and only listener was mad how wrong about Juno was. I was like, yes, this is preparing me for the future.
Boy, I'm not going to lie. I went and after watching Dune 2 and refreshing my memory, I had to cut a lot of the stuff I set out.
Oh, really?
I read the book when I was in high school, so obviously my memory is gonna be super like rough. And a lot of the shit I said just not true at all. Not true at all.
William asked about why the warheads were
Yeah.
on Arrakis,
Yeah.
and then we didn't have an answer for it. And then 2-3 minutes later, you were talking about the dark age of technology,
Yeah.
which is why the warheads are there, because they had warheads before, but now they can't reproduce the warheads anymore. So that's why they're hidden on the planet, because all the different houses, well, some of the different houses had stashes of like weaponry that they can't make anymore, but they're if they need it.
Why they can't make it anymore?
Because that like dark age of technology where like the AI started to take over. So they stopped using AI and like the war against AI and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but that means that a bunch of the other technology they can't produce anymore, they've become relics. So they're like,
Ooh, really?
yeah. So that's why the warheads are there, because they're like stashed away. They can't ever make any more. So they go to use like certain times and they're forgotten about and then lost over generations. And you asked about it, and then we talked about it like 2 minutes
Yeah,
later,
yeah.
not putting the two
Nice.
together at
After
all.
watching part 2, I was like, oh, I see. I was kind of on the ball. It did say
yeah.
like Harkonnens, Atreides was storing it. So
Yeah.
But we watched it, right? How was it?
Yeah, it was good.
Good
Oh,
movie,
I like
right?
it. I
Great
like
movie.
it.
I took my father and my son, and there's like my dad's like 20 years older than me, and then I'm like nearly 15 years older than my child, and all 3 of us really liked it, coming at it from like different generations, and I guess our attention span and what we'd normally watch, but all of us had a great time, so it was good. It was really good.
I thought if this is where sci-fi movies are going, I'm quite excited.
Yeah.
So the cinematography was fantastic. The visuals, my God. How great was it, dude?
We went into the one of those new Lux cinemas where the sound system's way better.
Nice.
Oh, it was pretty good.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer on the soundtrack. Oh my God.
Just
man.
some of the sound effects and everything's crazy. And
Oh,
the
Hans Zimmer was
music to it.
the
Hans
composer.
Zimmer was the composer.
Oh, nice. Because I've seen him live in RAC.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Like
Play all the soundtrack. Yeah, that's his concert. So he's playing all his movies.
Was there like a visual element to it along the way?
No, only lighting. So like if it's like Batman, then you know that the whole RAC went dark.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no light, and then flashes come on, and then the music comes on, and then it's like amazing.
Yeah.
It
Right
was
now, for
really
me,
amazing.
Hans Zimmer's 10 out of 10, right? Because he also did Blade Runner, and I
Right.
thought that was fantastic.
He did so many. Like
Yeah.
I think like the submarine movie, the Crimson Tide, is it?
I think he worked with Nolan.
Yeah,
Christopher
yeah.
Nolan
he
a lot
did
as well.
heaps.
What's the Crimson Tide?
It's like there's a movie like a submarine movie or something.
Oh.
Yeah, and then all the Pirates of the Caribbean,
Oh yeah, I loved those as a kid, man. They were so good.
Yeah.
Interstellar,
Oh, of course, yeah.
and what's that?
Interstellar had a
what's
great
that,
soundtrack.
that movie about the dreams?
Inception.
Yeah, Inception. That's right.
Right. Both Nolan movies.
Yeah, crazy, so good. Like I enjoyed from the start all the way to the end. I like Gladiator.
He did
Also great
Gladiator?
movie.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He
See, there's
did.
a new Gladiator coming out.
Really?
Yeah.
What else have they got?
I guess it's just a more multicultural version of Gladiator.
I don't know.
If
Oh,
you see the
no.
promos.
It's just they just get another
To be
Gladiator.
fair,
right?
the Romans did pull like slaves and stuff from all over Africa and North
Right.
Africa and South Africa and like into the southern states. So you've got a lot of.
I mean, they did.
Technically, it
have
should be
lines.
more multicultural in the first place. Really.
Do not turn your back on me.
They had to get their lines from somewhere, right? Because they're not in Italy.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. It is funny that all of the Italians put the line at the highest peak of like animal society, but it's not anywhere near where they're from. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a symbol of where they are. Same as like the eagle. I don't think the eagle is necessarily something that lives like in that central part of Europe on a regular basis. So, but these are these animals they put as the peak.
They look cool.
So if they were to use only Italian animals, what would be the on top of the standard? Like
The
a sheep?
carbonara.
A carbonara. It's just a little bowl of pasta.
The soldiers look at that. I will fight and die for that. The Dune did a pretty good job. Part 2 did a way better job of telling those undertones, right? The religious undertones, that spiritual undertones, and it really told this. They took a lot more inspiration from the part like book 2, and where Paul is kind of a tragic character, right?
Yeah.
His entire birth was created from generations of genetic manipulation. He was born for a specific purpose. He was raised for a specific purpose. And when he finally realized he had no free will, he was already in that destiny of his.
Yeah.
So
Because they're backing out of that.
he's
point.
already fallen down the hole of destiny, and he has no control of how his life's going to fall out.
Why can't you change? Like, what? It's like, oh, you have to turn right here, and then he turned left. What happened?
Well,
then?
It's more that at that point he realizes every decision he thought he made, someone had made else for him.
Correct.
So how does he
Right.
know the next decision that he makes isn't also already pre-made for him? You know what I mean? Where
Right.
does that end?
It gets even worse when he finally develops his precognition, right? And he's able to see into the future and the past. And when that happens, when you have foresight and perfect precognition, everything in your life, everything you will ever do, all the future events, you already know will happen and what will happen. And he realizes he loses all free will. That's why in the movie, after he takes that water of life, he becomes a completely different person. Like he realized that
He was a sad boy.
the entire
yeah.
destiny of what he's supposed to be is entirely laid out, and he knows that this is the only path he can take.
So that part when he took the water, right? So he's like in a deep sleep or something. He's like almost dead, right?
Yeah.
So what happened there with what's her name?
Jessica,
No,
Chani.
yeah, Johnny. So did she woke him up or something? Or
Yeah, what was it? I remember she the tear.
yeah.
I think that's just more of a spiritual metaphor.
Oh,
right?
okay, cool.
I think I might have gone to the toilet.
I don't understand that part. I don't
Oh,
understand.
wait, I didn't drink any water because I refused to piss.
I was
during the
stupid,
movie.
and I drank 2 of those large Pepsi Maxes. So I had to pee two times.
Dude, anytime I look at the runtime of a movie and it's 3 hours, I just refuse to bring any drinks in.
That's what my dad did.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that part when he woke up and then she slaps him.
Oh, she was pissed off.
Oh, okay.
She didn't want Paul to become that like messiah for her people.
Right,
She
right.
was like I think they did a great job of rewriting Chani's story to being more of like a figurehead of that like Fremen independence, that Fremen wanting to like represent themselves, and that whole like dynamic of like the white messiah coming in and freeing the indigenous. So
Right. Understood.
I think it's interesting to me because they have an entire 3-hour movie to like go into, or pretty much anyway. And the fact that my 13-year-old child with the most amount of ADHD can sit there and be pretty enraptured by the entire thing, like it was really great for me, and for him to come out and then say it was one of the best movies he'd seen. It's like hard to put is he seeing what I'm seeing, or is he seeing his own scope of what he's seeing? You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. It's pretty impressive. Did you see I can't remember his name, the second nephew of the Harkonnens?
Fade Rother.
He was the Elvis guy.
Yeah, Austin Butler.
I didn't know he was in that.
Oh.
Austin Butler, I think, knocked out his role as Fade Rother. Really got into the character.
Yeah,
of
it was, and I've only ever seen him recently because he did the Elvis thing, and then his voice changed inherently to be Elvis.
Yeah.
But next it was a different voice again. So is he stuck in a loop? Will he
watched-
only speak like Fade Rother from now on?
I watched the clip because if you watch how his accent sounded before he took up the role of Elvis, it was completely different. He acted Elvis. He obviously you become Elvis for like 2 years, and now his accent's permanently Elvis.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but now is he going to be permanently
I don't know.
Fade rougher.
He's just permanently psychopathic.
But he was on an interview like a couple, like I don't know, it was a year or so ago, and he was saying it's like causing him like personal distress because he can't change his accent back to not being Elvis. I wouldn't want to wake up in 2024 only speaking like Elvis either. Maybe that was cool in the 60s. It's not cool now.
Oh no.
I don't know if it works for his favor though, because he's a pretty good-looking guy. So having the accent all of a sudden becomes sexy, right?
Yeah. You could probably get away with a lot more than I could get away with.
If I brought off the Elvis accent, people would be like, bro.
So when could we expect the third part of the movie?
I don't know if they're going to do a third. I think they're going to.
Really?
I imagine Columbia Pictures or Legendary, whoever owns the license, is probably going to push for a third movie. But I don't know. I feel like because now it's going to go into Galactic War, right? The Holy War. I don't know if you can really do too much anymore.
I wonder if there's space for them to just rewrite everything moving forward.
Oh, that would piss off a lot of people.
It would, but
They already took a lot more creative liberties with Dune Part 2. I thought Dune Part 1 was very like one-for-one book. So Dune Part 2 took a lot more creative
they're
liberties.
just easing you in, man.
But I actually like the creative liberties they took for Part 2, right? Because it took a lot more inspiration from the themes of the future books, and they were able to at least tell the undertones of what Dune's supposed to be more.
I guess that's what I'm saying. For a modern setting of a book that came out in the 60s, how many new customers of the movie is there, consumers of the movie, is there compared to people who have actually read the book and care?
You're right, though, because I think a lot of people are already comparing it to being like the new generation Star Wars. So naturally, I imagine a franchise will come out of this, and they're going to push for this whole like Galactic War, and you're going to get a lot more action movie orientated. Part 1 was a lot more like setting up things. Part 2 already had a lot more action, right? This new movie had a lot more fighting, a lot more interesting like action sequences. To do the future books, I can see themselves setting it up to be more like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which would hurt me a
They
little
can right
bit.
some wrongs.
But
Did you play the Dune game in the PC?
there's a few.
Yeah, there's like an RTS.
And there's a new one as well.
Really?
Yeah. There's a new one, and there's a new
Is it an RTS or is this like a?
there's a new RTS.
All right.
There's a new Dune RTS. I think it's like Dune Spice Wars.
Yeah.
And then there's a also a 4X. Like, you guys ever play Civilization? It's like turn-based, like
Oh, okay.
4X.
My computer is still trying to murder itself, so no video games.
I thought you got it fixed.
I did not know.
Oh shit.
I have to take it down. We're up to like 11 or 12 boots before it turns itself on.
Oh
So
my
now
goodness.
I hit the button and I just go, make some coffee, come back to it. See how she's chugging along, maybe have a shower, come back to it. She'll be right.
Oh dear.
It's not on the agenda not to get fixed. I just need to find the time to take the PC down to the PC place and have them look at it, and they can fix it or tell me how many thousands of dollars I've now got to spend to replace the thing and then move on with my life. But it's just a real inconvenience right now. I don't know about that.
The same thing as a car, right? You just want your car to work.
Yeah.
The immediate moment it doesn't, it's just
It's annoying.
It's one of those step processes as well that you only go through every I don't know how often do you replace your PC realistically?
Oh, and I'm a bad person to ask. Ask William.
I probably do it every 5 to
I just
6
bought my
years.
first PC like 2 years ago.
What?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
like a.
What did you use before that?
Stone,
I'm a MacBook.
a chisel.
You were a Mac guy.
I'm
Are you
always
serious?
on Mac, yeah.
You're like a real technology man.
Yeah, but Mac
maybe
is
that
the-
means I'm doing it wrong.
But Mac, I don't play games right on a PC, so I don't use a PC. Mac lasts me probably a good 5 to 6 years to do work, so it's good. It never fails you. It's always running.
So you just have a MacBook? Is that what you have?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you got now, or you've changed it up to a PC?
No. I still have a MacBook for work always. So I just got a new MacBook as well. So I'm never gonna change that. That's for work. Like
It's true,
It's
though.
a stallion though. So it never fails you. If you want to do work, do it on a MacBook. If you want to play games, play on a PC. Don't use PC to do your work because the OS will just fail you. Yeah.
Apple's very good at it just kind of works.
Yeah.
So I always describe it as, if you need to buy a computer for your nan, just get her an Apple. It's
Yeah.
less likely to have problems.
My parents did the same thing where they bought my nan some I don't know, budget third party iPad kind of thing that going on. It's clearly not. And I've been around there to fix it 1,000 times. And I don't know, every time after Google it, I don't know what's going on. I was like, man, I just had a bloody iPad. I could just turn it on and be done with it. What am I doing?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you want to do work, I always suggest what do you want to do with your your computer? If you just want to do work, just get a MacBook. It will last you 6 years. It will be worth your money, and after that, you can hand me down, or you still can use it for a couple more years, and and you can buy a new one. Then by the time it's old, but it's still the longevity
Still
of
working.
it. Still work. Yeah, it's still working.
It's not taking 12 times to try and.
No. The Mac OS is really good for that purpose. Like for games, no. But that's why I had I bought a gaming PC. I think a couple of years ago, not too long ago.
Were you playing Destiny, right?
I was playing Destiny on the console.
Got it.
Yeah, I bought a PC to just play what was it called? Ox
Must Die.
Yeah,
Wait, William bought a $2,000 PC to play.
it's $3,000 PC.
He bought a $3,000 PC to play tower defense games.
I played Ox Must Die, and then I played what? There are billions as well.
They are billions.
Yeah.
So he played.
That's the same thing,
He
right?
was playing a top-down tower defense game, and then we played a cartoony
GTA 4 from
cooperative
1995.
And then the person selling me the piece is like, "Oh, what are you gonna play? Call of Duty, like high FPS game?" I'm like, no, some trash games.
This is the one thing I would say from running my own business and doing stuff at home, like as my workstation. I have one PC, right?
Right.
And I had games on there like Total War, Warhammer Total War. Played a heap of that. I don't know. I've got a bunch of other things here and there, like Skyrim and things. But I had to delete all of my games off the PC because it's too much of a distraction from my workspace. And even when I am sitting there playing games, it's that internal guilt of being like, I should just be replying to emails. And I was like, if I had, hopefully the future brings a time where I can have a work computer and a non-work computer. So when I'm not working, it's not working time. And when I'm working, it's working time and it's not a distraction.
Yeah, I separate myself. So I do all my homework. I do everything like uni related on my laptop, and I refuse to do any of my work on my actual main computer because it's too much of a distraction.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting in front of it. I have like 3 monitors, and immediately I'll just have YouTube going on the next monitor. I'll have some chats going on the left monitor, and so by then it's already too late. I'm not studying anymore.
Like I'll prop up The Simpsons on on the second monitor and watch that while I'm invoicing, and then I'll get an email back from someone 3 hours later being like, "Can you please change the date from 2094 to the proper date?" I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense." I'm like, "Come on, the price is the same. Just send the money."
I'm a computer science student, right? So for me, computers and technology is my hobby. So I'll have absolutely no reason to upgrade my computer, but I'll impulse buy a part. I'll be like, oh shit, why'd I do that?
Well, that's the real question. As someone who doesn't know anything about computers anymore, do I try and upgrade parts of the computer, or am I just replacing the computer every single time?
It's tricky because you go long enough, and eventually you're just gonna have to upgrade parts because obviously certain parts aren't compatible anymore with each other.
Yeah.
But if
And
you
why? Why? How can they not be compatible? Is it
the architecture changes. So imagine a good example would be RAM is currently on DDR5. We're on this 5th generation of RAM, right? And if your motherboard can't support 5th generation RAM, you're still stuck on that 4th generation. So then if you want to upgrade to 5th generation RAM, you got to buy a new motherboard that then supports 5th generation RAM. And the same goes, for example, CPU architecture, right? CPUs will have a new chipset they require, which requires you to upgrade a certain other part, right, to match it.
And is this a scam? Should it just fucking work?
Not
Hey.
really.
Didn't you say just now all about the Dune warheads? Hey, the lost technology, dark technology, bro.
I'm using the dark technology.
It's ancient, bro. No one know how to do
I do
it.
have one thing that pisses me off about that. They were just like, it's hidden in plain sight.
Oh my
and it's
God.
so
It's
because
such a MacGuffin.
it's too in plain sight to see. And it's like, all right, guys.
That was the biggest eye roll for me. It was a huge MacGuffin, right? It was like they had just a Deus Ex Machina of nuclear
The
missiles.
writer called in sick that day and they were like, what do we do?
Oh, they were just in plain sight. The
Now
warheads.
obviously it's hidden away in a cave, and they also had like a bio lock. It was like you have to be of House Atreides genetics.
Be able to get
Right.
in. Yeah. So someone could have found it, I guess.
But you can just blow it up, right?
I reckon they should have.
That's what I thought. You know when they were just emaciating this side of those
the sietches,
where they're
yeah.
living, and it's like imagine if they just hit one of those accidentally and just half the planet blew off.
The Harkonnens were shooting into the mountains, right?
Yeah.
They could do that to the nukes.
That's what we just.
Oh, sorry.
To be fair though, it's a lot of firepower you need to get through a mountain face.
Yeah, true, yeah.
I would have liked it more if the Fremen, if Stilgar was just like, oh, that thing? That's what it was the entire time. We knew it was there, bro. We just couldn't get in.
Yeah, we couldn't get in. They're just living at the front of that area. You know what I mean? The Hobbit, where they camp, and the one place they happen to camp is the cave to get into the goblin thing, and they fall through the little tunnel. What if it was like a rebuild of that, but instead of a space stage tunnel, and they're flopping their way down.
On a new topic as well, something that hit my periphery as well. It's like Rooster Teeth, the YouTube channel, the multimedia channel, Rooster Teeth. Shut
Yeah.
down.
So we talked about this. Like, I don't know how it affected you if, at all, William. But for me, when I don't know, 2008, 2009, those formidable teenage years was like I've followed the Rooster Teeth thing the entire time from then. And it's like I remember like a friend of mine showing me Red vs. Blue on like a clip panel on like an iPad with the first one with a screen. Not an iPad, an iPod. It'd been an iPod at that point. And it was showing me the videos of it on there. And it was such a formative, I guess, company that had like the Rooster Teeth podcast and all the YouTube stuff they did and everything moving forward from there. So the fact that they can shut down after 21 years is a big thing for me, I guess. And I've followed those, I guess, the main guys. And I think it's hard that over the couple of decades, they've had a fair few controversies. And it's like, I don't think much of that's come from the actual core founders of the company. But when you inevitably get up to somewhere in the stake of like 300 to something, 350 staff, you're inevitably going to make an incorrect choice in hiring someone. And that's where those controversies have come from as well.
I don't know if they adapted as well for the modern age as like media changes and what the audience wants. I don't know if they adapted as well. So...
I definitely only listened to the media for the most part from the original founders, and that definitely wasn't the focus by the end of it. Like they had a lot of young guys coming in, and I know even in the last year they had people moving out from like California and Los Angeles and stuff to start working there. So I'm not sure. Supposedly there's some talk of the writing was always on the cards that this was going to be the way, but obviously it can't have been too much on the cards if people are moving their entire lives to go work at the company in Austin, Texas. Hours and hours away from where they were living previously. So
I never watched a lot of Rooster Teeth directly, but I watched a lot of the channels that Rooster Teeth owned. And like Couch Up was a channel that I loved watching. And after 2 years, they shut down. I know Achievement Hunter shut down a while back. And then like Funhouse had a huge, massive change of their cast. And they never recovered.
Yeah.
So for me, who's like someone that's terminally online, I'm always like watching YouTube, I could kind of see where they were going. But to finally have it happen after 21 years, it's still a bit of a shock.
I think it's when I was a kid. I love my dad. He's a good bloke, but it's classic dad relationship where you might speak to him like 3 times a day, and that's your bargain. It's like I remember listening to the founders of that thing, and they were so open in the public and like doing the podcast like at least once a week. Those guys, they become like very like male adult figures for you as well, and especially in the case of them, they started as a small business with 4 guys in their living room to this like multi-million-dollar production company with like movie sets and sound studios and all this kind of stuff. It was definitely something that I don't know. I feel like I learned a lot and I listened to a lot, and you got a lot of information from those guys that you got like background access to that you don't get from a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
And they've for 21 years they've been like podcasting and stuff. So it's one of those things where I don't know. It is such a long-standing thing, and for that to come down. Also, at a weird time when we're starting something here, or like for me starting something here, it's like it's a weird timing for that thing to go away while this thing births itself out of something where they're such a big inspiration for me as well.
I think you mentioned as well this Rooster Teeth was the influence for a lot of your ideas behind podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know one of the guys speaks a lot about how Howard Stern was a massive influence for at least one, or if not a couple of the guys, and how their media approach is moving forward. And that's very much where I get a lot of. It is funny because they've been doing it for so long. Maybe about a year ago, I started going back to their very first podcast and starting all the way again. So listening from stuff from like 10, 15 years ago and going forward. And it's funny, like I look back now opinions I had as a teenager. I thought they were opinions that I had. And then I'm like, oh, I heard this guy said it. And I'm like, I just formed an opinion around this other guy's opinion essentially and like soaked that in. But then 10 years later, that is my opinion. So it shows you what kind of influence this kind of stuff and like the people that you look up to and the role models you have can have such a massive effect on you moving forward and like the opinions you have in the future. And then you come up with new like situations and you apply those opinions to that. And I was like, especially as like a teenager, I soaked that in without even thinking about it. And now I've applied that as my own opinion. It's like crazy. You know what I mean? So
I'm surprised like they didn't try to sell the whole thing.
Well, there's a few things going on. Like there's 4 founders. One of the founders got out just before COVID. So they sold to Warner Bros. Warner Bros. Discovery, like just before COVID. So I think it's 2019, 2018. And then he moved off to Scotland, and he's only a couple of months ago, he's just started his own podcast again after being out of the media for nearly 4 years. So I think the company's been trying to sell everything as a whole for quite a while. And then they've got to a point where I think now they're going to try and sell it off individually so that they can get different, but there's the podcasting wing they'll try and sell off separately. And then they still produce Ruby, which is a fairly popular anime. They're going to try and sell that off separately. And there's a few different, I think they're going to break it down into different elements, see if they can find buyers.
Is Ruby
for
the
those.
RWBY?
Yeah, correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's from what I've heard. That was one of the most successful things they've done.
Oh, it's interesting. That Ruby thing is I've heard of that anime.
Well, it's quite popular. They had the writer was a fairly well-known Japanese anime guy, so I don't know his name. Sorry about that. But he moved out from Japan into the US and started producing and writing for it, and then unfortunately passed away quite early on in the process of the first or second season. So then they've pushed forward with that product, and they've done quite well to a lot of point that a lot of people don't realize that is one of their production lines, I guess. So what they really wanted to become was a launching pad for a lot of different projects, and they did that quite successfully for a lot of different things over the years. They've launched a lot of shows and stuff, and they've gone out into the public, I guess, to the point where and got popular where people don't realize it's from them. But over the decades, because of a few controversies and some staff going away and talking about crunch times and then not being, it's the same things you hear for crunch times about a lot of video game companies, stuff like that, where the staff are under a lot of pressure. Instead of them being
huge turnover rates in game development,
and instead of being a launch pad for different new products and it helping them, it's more hindering them, because instead of becoming a sole product by itself, it becomes a product that's produced by a rest of, and it's like now that's a negative instead of a positive. You know what I mean? So they have to work past this other thing rather than it being advantageous to them.
Oh, interesting.
If I remember correctly, Ruby really hit it off because it was one of the first animes to really be produced and released solely on YouTube, right? So it had a huge developing audience as YouTube was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's where that's where Ruby really shot off. So
yeah, I think for me, it's just like it is such an influential thing that's been in my life for such a long period of time. If those core group of guys do go away and stop producing the media, and obviously that was always going to happen. Eventually, some of these guys are going to retire. Some of them are in their late 40s to early 50s. They don't want to be doing this thing forever, but they will want to stop doing it eventually. And something that's been around for 21 years is a long time.
You can tell when the passion's starting to fade.
Yeah, that too. But obviously they've got pretty lucky and to be able to produce things that they want to produce without anybody standing over the top of them telling them what they can and can't do for the most part. Like obviously there's some budgeting constraints, but these guys have been able to do what they want to do for the longest period of time, and to have that maybe not be able to the case anymore. Do those people then go back to having a normal job or having a normal boss? And it's something that I think about in my lifestyle as well. I'm very lucky that since pretty much the age of 18, I have the constraints of running my own business and doing my own thing. So there comes with just natural constraints like finances and time. But I don't have a boss standing over the top of me, kind of up my ass telling me what I need to get done or hitting quotas or KPAs and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I don't think I'd be able to ever go back to that situation. And I assume you're probably in the same, right? Well, how long has it been since you've been a staff member for someone else?
Long time, but I would say it's good to work under someone or work under a corporation or work under a company for a while to learn. I think everyone needs to do that, to learn,
pick up skills.
Pick up skills, know what's an organization do, and just even though if the boss is a tyrant or whatever, it's a good learning curve. Everything is a learning curve. You just have to know what to do, and it really helps you to push you forward if you want to do your own thing or whatever in the future as well. Yeah.
I think it's definitely something I've always kept in the past when hiring people, is that I've always wanted to have a young person job, like a McDonald's or a shopping center or Woolworths or something like that, because it allows them to learn a lot of skills that you can't really get any other way. And some of those big factors being that no matter how well you do at your job, people are going to not look at you very well, you know what I mean? And I think there's just inherent skills that you learn from having lower paid jobs and young person jobs where it teaches you something that you can't get. If you go to uni and your first job is out at the age of 20, 22, I think at that point there's a little bit too much privilege going on there, where you think that you've earned the position you've got now and you have to have that. Whereas those early jobs, you're the bottom of the run, and it allows you to build a bit of self-esteem and understanding there that you can only get from those positions.
I've always been you're certain age brackets in your life where there's almost a checkboard of things you really want to hit to start getting the ball rolling. And if you miss it, you always feel like you're just starting at a slower pace. You're going to be behind everyone else, right? So the same thing with like, it's almost like getting a driver's license, right? The ideal, obviously, is to get a driver's license when you're like 17, 18, you get the ball rolling nice and young. Not everyone has the opportunity, but it provides you with more chances, right? If you get it done earlier. Same thing with like working a job. You really want to get your first job when you're young, when you're 17, 18 or 19, because it starts teaching you life skills at a younger age. So when you finally hit that like 22, 23, you have more things to prepare for. Once again, just get that ball rolling at a younger age.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I agree on that. Like, I don't know, like for experience wise, like, I feel like don't be choosy on a job. Like, just pick what you have. Like, whatever it's available, just pick it. Get experience. It's just pretty much like playing an RPG, like World of Warcraft or whatever. You can't be choosy, right?
Getting XP anyway.
Yeah. If they ask you to kill 10 rats, you have to kill 10 rats.
Yeah, your level ones.
For the XP.
And if you go to the right restaurant, then you are going to be killing 10 rats.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, you can't choose your quests. Pretty much, you're given a set of quests that you need to do before you go to level 10 and you can explore the whole map.
I had a close friend of mine who really described it out for me and did a good job of really framing it. When I was like, because he was a lot older than me at the time, and he was like, when you're young, you're willing to work the harder yak jobs, right? Because you have less external stresses already back home, right?
Yeah,
so if you're already living at home and let's say your parents are already cooking food for you and you have clothes are washed for you, you already have less stresses in that regard. So you can work that harder McDonald's job and take on that stress. Because if you're at that position where you're working that hard yak McDonald's job and taking on stresses, but at home, you also then have, let's say you're 26 now and you have even more stresses back home.
It's going to become $700 a week in rent.
Exactly, right? So while you still have it good, work the hard jobs.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, grindy jobs. Mm-hmm. Once you're like level 60, bro, time to hit the dungeon.
Yeah. It's got to be why you have people doing like trade assistants and stuff all the way up to like 25, 30 and also living at home. You know, people are living at home for the longest period of time. And I just don't think there's any incentive to move out. Like I remember we moved out when I was 18 and we built a house on like the worst loan setup you could ever find through like the first home buyers thing. And I've like regretted it ever since. It's like the house we built was a nightmare. And obviously like building houses has got significantly more expensive since then. But I've learned a lot in the years of living in houses of all the stuff I should and should not have done when building that house as well. And it's like no decision should be made when you're 18. Like no, like take as many experiences on as you can. But I think such a big life change decision like building a house or using up your first home buyers at such a young age when you really don't know anything is not ideal.
What was the housing market like when you were 18?
It wasn't. Lucas was. It was very average. Like there wasn't anything. It wasn't some boom. Nothing was super expensive. I would say we're off the back of like the 2008 global financial crisis. So we're looking at I don't know, like 2010, 2011ish, I guess, when we built, and it was very much like they were much more cautious with who they were giving money out for. But then WA never suffered anywhere near as much as the rest of the world, so we're in a pretty good position for building and all that kind of stuff. And it was like the first home buyers grant, so I think it was like the lowest it ever was. I think it was $7,000, and then it was a home buyers thing, whereas you needed like $3,000 to build a house. So we took on $360,000 debt with 10 grand, and none of that 10 grand was ours.
And now you're on the complete flip side now, where you can't find houses right now.
Yeah, no, not like it's good in a way. Like if we tried to do that now, there'd be absolutely no chance of us getting in. You know? They shouldn't. Realistically, they probably shouldn't have given us that finance back then as well. Which funny when we talk about like coming off the GFC, maybe. They shouldn't have done that then, But it's like we've, obviously never defaulted on it and we've got through it. But it's like you look back at it now, it's like every decision we made with that house when choosing what we wanted or thought we wanted was like not conducive to like building a family or like doing anything with it. You know what I mean? There's like we talked before, it's like having a separate space for like your work and your play. It's like there's no dedicated study there. So my office with my computer is just like in the front room of the house when you walk in. So when like people visit or like kids are there, it's like it's just right everybody's all in the jizz.
I reckon it's like if you don't have the pressure to move out right now, just stay at home.
No.
Just stay at home.
No.
Why would you go out? And
Why put yourself in a
force
financial burden.
Yeah, you force yourself to be paycheck to paycheck, right?
Yeah, there's no point to it. Like if I have a choice, I would stay with my parents. Yeah,
Anyone that's ever
reach maximum.
anyone that's ever been successful is always like, when you're young, you got to save that money up so you have enough capital to start reinvesting when you're ready for it, right?
Yeah,
or you can start
absolutely, yeah.
taking your money and using it for something. But it's like you can't do that when you're young and you're working paycheck to paycheck.
Well, some other people I know that have siblings that they, not everyone's in that position, but a lot, like some siblings, like obviously really trust each other and others don't. But some people I know have gone with their siblings and gone and bought houses to then rent out and stuff like that, or like to as a financial like decision rather than going and buying their own houses to live in, because your buying power is a lot better with like two groups of couples or two people than it is just trying to do it yourself. So you can really escalate how quickly you can make that jump into like owning a home that you can rent out as well. Obviously, it doesn't help the whole situation that there's more people buying houses to rent them out to people than allowing people who need to actually bloody live in them. But
there was a
Can't do much
video
about
I
that.
watched of like some dude in LA. I don't know how true it is, since I'm always kind of curious. Where it's like some dude like made his first couple millions because like he would just buy houses, he would work hard and to live in the houses he bought, and then he would just like buy another house, live in that house, rent out the previous house, and you just go house jumping like that out and out. I don't know how realistic it is to do any more, but that's how apparently he made his millions.
The problem is with any mortgages is your interest rates.
Right.
So the more money you put into your house, the less interest you pay. So if you buy like a 400 or 500K house with interest, and if you pay out the full 30 year or whatever, right? So it's like one over a million, right? Your house is you're be paying like 1 point something million. In actual, like you're not paying 400K for your house. You're paying 1 million ish for your house. So if you could pay off your house, like if you dump everything, like if you don't buy Warhammer, you don't buy Magic, right?
whoa! Don't give me any ideas, man.
Yeah, you just dump everything into your house, which not a lot of people will do. You could pay you could pay off your house pretty quickly, and what these people will do is they use the equity of this house and then use this and then buy another house.
Right. Yeah,
so that's what you do.
I guess that's the argument of a lot of people now. Is like even if you do dump every spare cent you've got into it, you might reduce the time that you pay for your house from like 30 years to 20 years. And that's a massive difference. Like that's a massive, like you're taking a third of the loan off. But at the same time, you're still looking in 20 years of working to put every single cent of your thing in it. Is that the lifestyle you want?
I have to be glad, because obviously the lifestyle I live is very much built off of what my dad has created. And my dad was that classic kind of man who was just like took a mortgage out for a home, and every day he would just work, sleep. He had no hobbies in his life. He would just come home, maybe watch some TV, go to bed and work. He never bought anything for himself, and just all the money was just going to mortgage and like whatever we needed to survive. And so he now owns the home, he's paid off the mortgage, and now he's starting to relax a bit more. But that's such an unrealistic expectation for anyone to live.
So when he sees you walk in the door with like a box of Warhammer, is he like, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad still thinks that what I do is like working with children.
He thinks you're a Toys R Us.
That's what all Asian dad thinks.
He thinks it's like, are you going to like work in the Lego store? Is that what it is? So,
Just Lego with glue.
and for me, it's easier to explain to him like, yeah, kind of, sure.
Yeah, true.
Sure,
yeah.
why not?
I guess what do you really gain from like trying to explain it? Like the more information you give him, the worse it gets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason for me to ever...
Dad, it's like Lego, but for adults, all right?
There's no reason for me to try to explain to my dad, because my dad's not asking out of like actual want to know curiosity. So there's no reason for me to answer with anything serious.
Pretty much what Kang is pretty much all I think most Asian, like my dad's generation is.
Correct.
Like they just work hard just to pay off the mortgage and use that as like a foundation.
Correct.
And then that foundation would just, go down to the kids, and then the kids will like be like, they just want a better life for the kids.
They're building the foundations of like survival, right? In their mind, it's about just survive.
Correct.
And now, like, I'm in the position where I have to take what my father has built for me and not squander it.
Yeah.
So I've been given these opportunities.
10 boxes of Warcry, please.
There is every now and again where I'll buy a booster pack and I'm like, what am I doing?
That's everybody, man.
Yeah.
It's like open the pack. Oh no, 2 cents.
That quick zap of dopamine in my brain. Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, we should do like a pack opening episode, right?
Sounds like fun.
We open like a box each, and then like we could just open and then talk about a box. see how crappy or how good it is.
We've actually been talking about here because we don't have a massive card selection ourselves, and obviously you helped us out before, but now you're doing Eternal, you need to try and stock into there. So do we start opening a certain amount of packs each time to try and just boost up the number of singles?
You can just buy like just open like a box. I think opening a box is not too bad.
Yeah,
like,
no.
You get the fun.
Even just the
And you
customers
just-
have the option to like look through, even if it's not like anything that amazing.
And you just put it on the shelf too. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. Like you need to have something like if they don't want to buy a pack, they can still buy a single. So you still get a sale from.
It's true. It's about
right?
giving something that someone wants.
An
right?
option, just an option for it.
If they're already coming through the door, they probably already have in their mind that they're looking to spend something, right?
Yeah, true.
So you just have to be able to you have to be in a position where you just provide them something they want.
I think we talked about this just the other day. It's like I've always been against having huge amounts of value of stock just sitting on the shelf doing nothing. Like from every other industry I've come from, it's all about rotation. Get it in, get it out, and move it quick. But I think it's a hard lesson I learned. I probably should have known in the first place. The impulse buy and people wanting to pick something up just because they're here, it requires to have stuff on the shelf and things just sitting around. And it goes against every nature of like marketing that I've been involved in my entire life to be like, all right, I need to have X amount of stock just sitting there and waiting for someone to pick it up, right?
Yeah, it's healthy to set a set amount. So let's say you put in, let's say 10 grand. I think putting it at 10 grand and rotating that 10 grand is healthy. Like just set it. I mean, it doesn't have to be 10 grand. It just have to be like a set amount. Like you don't have to be like, as long as the stock level does not go over like maybe 10% of 10 grand, like 11, or below 9. Things like that. If it's below 9, like hey, we're not stocking enough.
Yeah.
Like if it's below 11, like above 11 or 12, like okay, this is max. We're not gonna do any more until we sell out. So I think it's healthy that way that you set yourself like a ceiling and a floor. Like you don't go too low and you don't go too high.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a store and then like come in like, oh, I don't have stock. Like, everything is pre-order. Like that's not healthy as well, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So you just need to have that balance. Like if it's below this, we need to restock quick. Like if it's above this, we need to slow down.
Going back to the idea of doing videos of pack opening, I love the idea and I really think we should as well. But also, especially with Magic doing like Universe Beyond, and we can talk so much more than just the Magic side of things, right? Like if we cracked a box of like Lord of the Rings, I know Danny, you can talk about Lord of the Rings a lot and you're really passionate about that setting. We just had Fallout come out and I could spiel about Fallout forever.
It was actually pretty fun. We played a couple games the other night, and I haven't really had nothing to do with Fallout before. But as we were playing, like Kang was running through like all the different characters and the stories and where they're from, and it's like having a little history lesson that goes along with the game.
What is the wise Mothman?
He's a mutant creature that lives in the Appalachian Mountains range.
So is he wise?
I actually haven't played Fallout 76, so I don't know that much about the character. All I know is that this mythological creature has like started its own cult, the cult of the Mothman. It has this religious figure.
The wise Mothman can see a light but not go for it.
Give me a summary of Fallout, because I didn't play the game. I didn't read anything, so I just need like a maybe like a 2-3 minute summary of Fallout.
The quick summary is post World War II, America, the world actually goes through a giant technological boom with the discovery of atomics. Because of the discovery of atomics and et cetera, resources in the world start going scarce, and a nuclear war occurs. Nuclear war happens. The entire world is basically blown up to an apocalyptic hellhole. The American population survive by hiding in what's known as vaults, these giant nuclear bunkers, and then basically you're a character that lives out this post-apocalyptic world. And it's like this post-apocalyptic world with a very deep setting in that like 1950s art style of like booming America culture. And it has like robots, you're living among mutants that have appeared because of the nuclear war. Some people didn't get to the bunkers as well, so you're living among like the survivors of nuclear war. Some people have been forever changed because of the nuclear war. They've been turned to ghouls. That's the quick like cliff notes of what the world is. And then the story is which game is telling what.
So what's the like in the game? What's the purpose of the game? Like what's
it's like an RPG. Yes, it's an RPG. So each game has a different like main character. You make your own character, right?
Right.
It's like when you play like Skyrim. You make your character. Here's this universe. You go live out the story, right?
So every character's a archer wielding stealth guy then in Fallout. That's what Skyrim is to me.
But instead of archers, it's like a 50 caliber anti-material rifle.
So what's the end game? Like, what do you do? Like, what's the end like to the RPG? Like
An example would be what's a good example? An example would be like Fallout 3, right?
Right.
You're a child born of these vaults, right? And your father's gone missing, and he's gone into the wasteland, and you go search for him, right? Like you're a child born of Vault 101, a vault that was never supposed to be opened. Your father somehow is able to escape the vault into the wasteland.
He went to go get milk and just never came back.
Kind of, right? Almost, kind of. And then and then you grow up, and you're like, I'm gonna go up and find my father out in the wasteland. The long story short of Fallout is that America's been bombed to a hellhole. And there are all these factions that are trying to grab power and what's left of America, right? You have in the West, you have this like pseudo government called the New California Republic. You have these techno-fascists called the Brotherhood of Steel. You have all these factions trying to grab power of wasteland America. And that's kind of been the ongoing theme of Fallout, is that the wasteland can't be tamed, and you're just a character. You're just someone in the world trying to make what they can out of it.
right.
Can you assume that nobody wasted their nukes on Australia and they're just living this absolute standard 1950s Australian dream right now?
Yeah, we're riding kangaroos and fighting emus.
So interesting. But the problem is with the winds come, right? You still blow in the radiation air.
True.
It's been hundreds of years.
It still reach Australia.
It just
though,
holds
so.
the breath.
The actual idea of Fallout is not very original, right? It's like post-apocalyptic, right? We've seen it done before. We've seen like Mad Max and all the
So there's like
renditions of it.
no ending to it then.
There is a lot of lore and story behind it, but
Right.
you discover that because there's a lot of the writing, right? But each game has a different thing they're trying to tell.
All right. So they're not like World of Warcraft, like you kill Blackwing or whatever. It's like
No. The story is, here's the setting, here's the world we've created for you, and each game tells their own story within that setting.
okay.
Did you
And
ever
then-
play Skyrim?
No. I'm a World of
interesting.
Warcraft guy.
Gotcha. Maybe William just has a different perspective
Yeah.
for what he wants from his games.
Yeah. So I'm hardcore on World of Warcraft. So I did like all the 40-man raids and stuff. Those were the days.
It is funny, like we talked about before, like when I was listening to the Rooster Teeth podcast stuff, when I was like the Rooster Teeth stuff at the start, I did that while also playing WoW. And I played such a heavy amount of WoW. Besides a few other properties like Halo and Skyrim, I missed huge swaths of like video gaming and stuff because I was so heavily dedicated to WoW as well that a lot of stuff went by the wayside. So you talk about a lot of like,
Were you in a guild in World of Warcraft?
I, William, was in a roleplay guild in
What?
a US server.
Okay.
I was the ultimate nerd.
Oh, shit.
My dad walked in on me one time doing a voice as I role-played my way through Naxxramas with a group of other people, and he looked at me. I looked at him in the eyes, and he just stared at me, and I was like, damn it.
To be fair,
What were you role playing as?
I was a warrior, so I was like, I was like a 16, 17-year-old like teenage boy full of testosterone, so I was a warrior.
nowadays in 2024, if you're in a roleplay guild in WoW, you're probably just getting groomed.
How do you role play in WoW though? Like
It's just like it was like really just like D&D, but like
I was in an Australian guild.
yeah.
It's called Thunder Down Under.
Look, man, I could have been getting groomed, and I just don't know it. To be honest with you, a lot of them did get married to each other, so
Oh,
Okay.
there is love in the guild.
nothing was ever untoward from what we were doing. But like, yeah, obviously, I was a completely different country. So
Alliance are hard.
sorry, alliance. Yeah,
Oh, the
it's hard to like a role play as an orc if I'm not an orc, man.
It's funny because
Zup.
I know of a lot of friends, right, and you guys included, where you guys were in that part of that group that played a lot of WoW but didn't play anything else. And I was on the other side where I ignored WoW, and all I ever played was everything else.
Yeah, that was a good choice.
I don't know. You got a lot of social from WoW
Absolutely,
as well, right?
yeah. I still talk to some of the guys. Like the thing, the first podcast I sent to that we did, I sent to a guy that used to like talk, like a mate of mine that I have from playing WoW back at that point, and I still follow them. A lot of them got kids and partners and stuff like now as well. It's a long time that's gone by. So yeah, and I think for a lot of people, they'll go back to WoW in the hope of finding that initial social existence they had back then,
Yeah.
but without that same group of people and that nostalgia that comes with it, you'll never catch back up to what it was at whatever the best time you did it was. So for me, it just happens to be like the Lich King and the Naxxramas and stuff like that. All those that really popular version of that game, I just happen to be in there at that best point of what that game was. So every time I've gone back, and usually every time a new expansion comes out, I'll play for the first 3 or 4 months, and I'll just do it. Like I'll quest by myself and do the different story. But I've never been able to re-encapsulate that like amazing time that I did have then. And like I was also on a US server as a teenage boy here in Australia, so I'd go out drinking on a Friday night and then raid with them like they're 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'd drink all night, come home, not sleep, just jump straight on the computer and then raid or do something for the next 3 or 4 hours, like with those guys.
They're just like, Danny's really good at role playing the warrior right now.
Well, that's what, like, and it was, he was on, was it Ventrilo? I think pretty sure it was back then.
Yes, Ventrilo, yeah.
And I would jump on, and they're like, all the Americans like, it's the Australian boy, and I'm like pissed out of my mind. I've been like drinking like Ted's still at 9.5s like for 16 hours.
What's Ventrilo? Is that like Skype?
It's like Discord.
Gotcha.
It's the OG Discord.
Yeah. You'd have to plug in, plug out, and like I wasn't that tech savvy, and most people weren't. So you'd spend half an hour like making it work every time.
Yeah.
There's no Discord then, man.
And then raid is like 40 men, right? So you need 40 people to turn up on time.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And I wish then, right, if we could have the WoW now. Like the WoW now you can queue in your class and you could raid with randoms, things like that. Like you could queue and then they bring 10 people together.
Yeah, convenience.
Like, convenience, right?
I guess like some of the major advancements they've made in the game and the conveniences, they came a little bit too late. It needed it in the heyday when it was, and maybe it would still be as big as it was now.
Right.
But it's also they needed to learn those things, to know those things, to implement them. But I think like in the new, I really should know. Is it Chris Metzen? I'm pretty sure. One of the original founders of WoW has just been brought back in.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Metzen.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it's like it might be one of those like too little, too late kind of situations, or they're going to try and it's a last ditch effort to get it across the line. But it is interesting to get one of those OG guys back in to like help start writing.
Didn't they restart the whole WoW again? Like there's Molten Core again.
Yeah, they did a WoW Classic where they restarted the original WoW, and alongside it, they're also re-releasing all the original.
But even that point, they're up to what, Pandaria now anyway?
I don't know. Like
they are.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. So WoW Classic is up to Pandaria, or it's coming out soon.
So is it 2 different games or what?
2 separate games. Yeah. If you pay for one, you get both.
All right. So
that bit's okay. But it's like it's just essentially one's running along. But it means like we're out to Pandaria. Can they release classic?
So now,
like where
now
they
the question is,
start again?
Where is WoW right now? Like the last I played was, I think the demons came down.
It's a Dragon Isle, so it's like new again. It's like the aspects of dragons are fighting each other, and the big thing really is like you're on this new island where they take flying away from you, but then give it back to you in like a different form, and it is a much more a fun way of playing. Like you get on your dragon and it's more like, do you remember Spyro, where you're like, you can't just fly forever. You got to like kind of like jump fly to places. It's kind of like that. And it's actually a really fun way to do it. But again, it's like, they should have thought about this 20 years ago so that because now you've got just normal flying and they've made it more fun here, but it's like it's technically a worse version of flying. So it's like maybe, you know what I mean? Like so you're taking something away to make it better, but it's still taking something away.
Do you think WoW was a product of its time though? It's kind of an enigma of its time, because I don't see kids like these days playing MMOs the same way we did.
I think that's absolutely true. And I think that's the true of any product. Kids, like from me knowing my 13-year-old son, like he does not want to sit down. He plays FIFA and UFC and like a bunch of those games. So he's already not really into that like real nerdy stuff. He's into like the mainstream video gaming side of it. But the attention span just isn't there.
Correct.
And we see that in like Magic the Gathering. We see that in TV shows. We see that in like Instagram and TikTok, where it's like short form smash, and you just knock it out in real quick things. I don't know if someone's prepared to do 3 to 5 hours of raiding with 40 people on a weekend. I don't think you could just fly that now.
Because I know like every now and again I'll play like what the kids are playing, right? Like I'll load into like a Call of Duty lobby, right? And it's like I'll play my round and then I find myself picking up my phone while I wait for the next round to start up. And it'll be only like 2 minutes, right? It'll be like a minute of loading and a minute of getting the game ready. But I'm already on my phone scrolling and I'm like, wow, my attention span is just
my son will sit down, turn the Xbox on. The Xbox is loading and it's an Xbox. It takes like a minute at most. To do that, he'll start his iPad, because that's quicker.
Yeah.
So he'll watch something on his iPad, and I'll just walk into the room half an hour later, and he's stuck on his iPad watching that, just with the Xbox on like the main screen, not doing anything, because he's like, his attention was instantly stolen by like social media or something else is he doing, or YouTube. So it's like he couldn't wait that 10 seconds for the Xbox to start, and now it's half an hour later and he's still sitting there like scrolling through or doing whatever he's doing, you know what I mean? He watches a lot of like YouTube, like younger YouTube guys, and some of us like it's not terrible, but you can just see he literally couldn't wait the 30 seconds for the Xbox to turn on before being distracted.
It's interesting. I'm still keen like to see World of Warcraft, but just don't have the commitment anymore.
Yeah, it's a time
Yeah.
thing, right?
I do this thing where like I like to cook with like a video in the background. It's like some background, some show going on in the background. But I'll like to scroll.
You need the Apple, what's it called, Vision Pro.
Just strapped to my head.
It's strapped to your head.
100% immersed.
If you're cooking stuff, like it's on your wok or on your pan.
Yeah.
Just right there, bro. It's just right there.
Locked in, man. Ready player one. But yeah, I'll find myself sometimes I'm scrolling YouTube trying to put a video on that I can watch while cooking. I'll be there for like 10 minutes trying to find a video. I'm like, I could have just had my food by now.
Yeah, you could have eaten the food. The worst bit is when you like prepare a hell good like snack or some food, and you sit down and like you've like the Netflix is like starting. I was like, no, and then it like comes out and you're halfway through your snack. You're like, no. 2 minutes into the show, it's done.
And then you're scrolling to select your movie. Like you haven't even.
We talked about this last week as well about the Yellow Jackets thing, and you're like, is it just one season? It's not. It's 2 seasons. There's 2 seasons, and I just watched through, and I didn't realize I'd started a 2nd season.
Oh man,
Yellow Jackets. Have you been watching it? It's on like I think I've got it on Paramount Plus, and
it's on Amazon.
I think it's on Amazon as well. Yeah.
What's that? Yellow Jackets. What is it about?
It's like the teenage girls who are in a soccer club or team, and their plane crashed.
Oh yeah, they ate everybody. Like
whoa, spoiler, man.
Oh sure.
No, I think it's pretty implied from most of the stuff, but it's actually really good. It's pretty good. Like with all the work and stuff I'm doing, I don't watch a lot of media. I've been watching the Halo because I'm liking that a lot. I'm pretty keen for the Fallout stuff, even though I don't have a lot of background for that. It looks pretty good.
I'm hopeful.
But
let's see how they do it.
Yellow Jackets normally would completely pass me by because it's not already a media that I'm invested in. Like I'm watching Halo because I'm love Halo.
Just a synopsis on that whole series. Crash. They ate some, then they came back to the real world.
So the story is splitting between them in the modern time, like right now, essentially, as when they're adults, and then navigating it coming back to haunt them and the things they did while they're out there, along with the time that they're in the forest, like stuck there, and then you're working through that story. So it's 2 linear stories operating at the same time, and you're kind of like you're learning the horrific things they did do while like watching it, how it affects them in the future and coming back to bite them in the ass. And it's written really well. I don't know who the showrunner is or like the director and stuff like that, but they clearly know what they're doing, and it's a really, really well put together story.
It mirrors the real world event that happened, right? I can't remember a while back, but there was a plane that crashed out in the Himalayas, right? Where like when they finally got to the survivors, a lot of the survivors had to eat each other, right?
Yeah,
and then the people that lived through the guilt, and it was so much so that like a lot of religious figures had to come in, like the Pope had to give him a pardon. To be like, these like horrible things you've done, you're forgiven or whatever, just so they could live on with the guilt of what they've done.
Yeah, there's a lady in I think the 50s or 60s. She survived a plane crash and everyone else died. And this one lady survived like 3 years in the Amazon jungle. Bro. Well, I don't think she necessarily ate anybody. I'm not like implying that, but it's more. I think because they're in the plane crash, like the plane crash exploded or whatever, and she just managed to survive. I think she fell out of the plane as it was crashing, and she slammed into a tree, and she had like a bamboo shoot go through and all this kind of stuff. But she survived in the jungle for like 3 years.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, it is. And then she went on to become like a pilot or something after some nonsense stuff like that.
She is a built survivor.
Yeah, I remember reading a whole thing about her. It's just crazy. Obviously, zero information for this story to be worthwhile, but pretty crazy.
That's a character you would meet in Fallout.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll check it out.
Again, it's a lot of this media, like the stuff that's media that I am not really invested in. I tend to let it go because I shouldn't really be spending like watching like a TV show till 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. You know what I mean? when I'm just supposed to be getting up for 4 o'clock in the morning for work, I shouldn't be watching this stuff. But it's been so good. I've been binging it a bit, and making
Danny?
bad adult choices.
You need Apple Vision Pro while driving the truck.
While driving the truck, I've just got things popping up on each side.
You gotta do what I do, which is like you just ration your show. Like you just like, oh, I'm taking a shit, quickly watch some. Eat my breakfast and watch some. So
With Apple Vision Pro, you can watch it all day.
Are you gonna get one?
I don't know. It looks weird though.
it does look goofy. I'll be honest, they could have done better, right? It still makes you look pretty goofy.
It's the classic Apple thing though. Like it looks goofy now, but it'll set a standard. Think about like how goofy like an iPhone looked originally. Like it's sleek and round. Everyone's like, what? Why? But now it's like, that's what you expect from a phone.
True. 10 years down the line.
But Simpson already predicted it.
The-
One of the episodes, right? So everybody's just wearing these goggles and then like doing like everything the Vision Pro does. Like everybody's on that, and then like now Apple has that. Like,
I've been watching those Simpsons through for it's been a couple of years now, but I've watched from the start right through to the finish, and I'm up to like episode 20, season 26 or 27 or something. And I have this weird thing happening where if I'll usually watch it like on the way home or something. I'll watch an episode, and then like within a day or two, something will happen to me that has relevance to that TV, to this episode that I watched. And it's just like, it's this weird thing that keeps happening. And I'm like, wait a second, this just happened on the show. And it happens like, and it's like, I'm having my own little existential crisis because like, Lisa will talk about black currants. And I'm like, then like Kelly will come home and be like, we bought black currants. And I'm like, I haven't had black currants in years. Why is this happening right now?
One day you will wake up, you look down your hands, you'll have 4 fingers, you're like, I'm a Simpsons character.
I'm a character. The world's just changing around me and I've been in an illusion.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good like help, like assistance, I guess, with the Vision Pro because you don't have to be looking at a screen, right? So your hands are free. You don't have to hold on a phone on any device. So you can walk where you go, so you can still see where you're going, and you can still action on things.
Do you think like it'll be just further issues for people's backs and spines because their head's now heavier and they're slowly moving
the
forward?
immediate moment they make it the size of like a regular pair of glasses,
That's
game over.
Well,
Yeah.
you see a few guys walking around with the glasses with the camera in them.
Yeah.
Like there's a few people that come here that have those. It's like, are they recording their games? What are you
It
recording?
has a camera and it has speakers, so you can listen to music. If you want, you can take photos with it.
I think it's like a bone. Is it a bone transfer?
Yeah, the
like
bone conductor.
Bone conductors, right? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But the immediate moment they make the technology like convenient, you're going to see everyone with it.
True.
So
It's still like a bulky thing, so I'm not sure how heavy is it. So
there's a design philosophy, right, with technology and anything really design, where like the technology has to reach a pinnacle point of its design where it's not inconveniencing a person anymore. In the immediate moment that threshold's crossed, that's when you've created a worthwhile product.
Well, did you see the talking about like Apple products? They dumped the Apple car, $17 billion they spent on that project, and they're just like, nah.
Drop in the lake, right, for the trillion.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess it's like they want to make a product that works rather than product that like half.
Well, I
half
think
is, right.
a lot of people, like a lot of EV companies, are getting scared off at the moment because like there's a bit of a rally against EVs. But the Apple version of their EV was driverless, completely driverless, and I think part of the reason is that it's so far we're not. It's not like completely driverless cars are now 1 or 2 years away. They might still be like 10 years away. So I don't think they're prepared to, if they've spent $17 billion so far, to spend X amount of billions to get it, keep going until it gets there in 10 years. You know what I mean? Because they'll have to keep upgrading stuff as they go along, I guess, as technology comes out.
Of all companies, I would assume Apple will be the one to get there as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we for a completely different thing, we were looking up $1 trillion companies. And it's surprising how many of those $1 trillion companies are the exact companies you'd think they would be. So it's like Apple and Microsoft and
Amazon,
Nvidia, Amazon. And then there's like one Saudi Arabia oil company. And then it's like, but all the rest of them are the exact companies you think they think they would be. I think there's $9 trillion companies in the world. And then it gets to like after 9 or something, it goes to like 800,000 million.
Oh,
but it's like there's
Northern Boards.
We're on the way. Do we just
Rupia.
need enough subscribers to this podcast, and we'll make it to the trillions. But I always think people talk about giant investment companies and this and that, and like I always think like there's got to be like people in Qatar and Dubai that have like massive like investment companies, but no, it's the Apple and Microsoft and the companies you know every day. I always thought they'd be like outlier companies in mining or something that would take those spots, but clearly not.
I'm probably not amiss to say most households have at least one Apple product.
Yeah,
So you
get
have the
that.
population of like most of the first world, and if everyone has at least one Apple product in their household, poor.
I guess it's for me. It was like I think what was surprising was we still live in houses and we still consume petrol and electricity and
essential services.
I thought something. I was I just thought we use all these like products like Microsoft and Apple and stuff like Apple products every day, but maybe some more important things would take up.
I watched an insane video of like there was a girl, like, so someone's just jogging, right? There's a jogger like in like Dubai, right? She's like jogging down the road. A car rolls up and just stops, and the window winds down, and it's like one of the crown princes of like Dubai, and he just hands her a bottle of water and drives off. And then she's like, can you imagine just being a regular human being and being like, huh?
Yeah, in any other country, you wouldn't drink that water.
Yeah.
There's no way a random female jogger is drinking water she's given on the side of the road.
True, that as well. But I was thinking it's like, you're just a regular civilian, and this like $1 billion, just like this almost like greater than life figure walks up like, hello, here's some water, goodbye, drives off.
Yeah, it'd be like the King James III coming up on his cart, giving you a jug of water, you being like, oh no. There was
those people have a lot of money.
There's like a shitposter guy from England who flew to Dubai and then got his visa cancelled or something, and he was caught in the Dubai like airport, and he didn't have the money to like buy a ticket out of there, and he was kind of just like moving around in the airport, but also live streaming himself, like avoiding security guards. They weren't looking for him, but he just shouldn't be there. So like he was living in the Dubai airport, trying to convince people to send him money so he could buy a flight home. And like he wasn't necessarily being looked for because they didn't know they were supposed to be looking for him. I guess he was just, in such an enormous airport. He was just there.
Wouldn't like they send them back?
Yeah, they should. Yeah, but his thing had been cancelled via like email or whatever. So he got the cancellation notice, but he hadn't left the airport yet.
All right.
So he's just in the airport, just existing.
He doesn't need anybody to send him money. Like, I think they would like send him back, like, right?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, and this guy is just a guy on the internet asking for money. He could be using it for anything, I guess.
Maybe.
But
I remember reading something about some dude once like lived in the airport
yeah, there was a whole movie.
because they couldn't get rid of him.
The Forrest Gump guy did the movie.
The terminal.
Yeah.
Really? Because his country went into a war. Then
Right.
his passport became like
Not existent.
non-existent. Then he couldn't like go out of the customs, and then he just stuck in the airport.
Wow.
And then he needed like to work in the airport.
What a
like,
life.
He started like pulling. I'm not sure it's true or not. Like he had started putting the trolleys back and get some coins back. So that's how he survived.
Oh.
Something like that.
He wouldn't survive.
Based on the movie, not based on the.
Wouldn't survive in the Australian airport. $780.
What's up with
$785
Tom
for a
Hanks
Coke.
playing dude stuck somewhere?
Did you ever watch? It was Ryan Reynolds, and he did a movie where it was called like The Coffin or something. I don't know, but he was like terrorist group of like some kidnapping group had kidnapped him and buried him in a coffin in the ground.
What?
And the entire movie.
Oh, I know the one. The entire movie is just inside the coffin.
Inside the coffin.
Yeah.
So
That's a low budget.
the
movie.
lowest budget movie ever produced.
I watched it. I actually watched it.
I watched it in the movie too.
Yeah.
I got tricked into being there.
You contributed to Ryan Reynolds' wealth.
The ending is real disappointing.
I don't remember.
Did he die?
He didn't get out.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, he doesn't.
They didn't get to him in time.
Yeah.
So it's just like most of the movie is just him in a coffin. It's just it's interesting, right? It's one
It
of
was
those
like
movies.
him talking to his wife.
Wait,
or
Yeah,
something,
it's him trying to like get his resources together to try and survive.
I'm just gonna Google that thing right now and see how much is the production. Ryan Reynolds.
It's also what it could be 10 years ago at least, right?
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it was a
coffin
while back.
Movie.
No, there were shots outside the coffin.
Oh, it's called Buried.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
Whoa, his budget. Guess the budget.
22 mil.
Budget of the film.
I don't know how much does the film
It's an
cost.
expensive coffin, bro.
3 million.
I was way. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm talking
And the
about.
box office was 21.3 million.
Oh,
He makes bank.
he made bank. What the?
Thanks to you guys.
Low budget movies. Huh?
Yeah, I was back there.
3
when I was-
million, dude.
Wasn't the first pan like what's that horror movie again? Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Wasn't the first Paranormal Activity like done on like a tiny budget and it made like millions of dollars?
Wait, let me check.
So before COVID, and I don't think COVID was the instigator of this, but before COVID, I would go to just the movies weekly, and I would be like, I'm going to the movies, and then I pick a movie. And sometimes, like when Star Wars would come out, I'd take my kid, and then I'd take my dad, and then I'd just go back by myself on a Tuesday morning or something if I wasn't on the truck. And it's like I would go to the movies multiple times to see the same movie, and I'd go there weekly. Now, for me to go to the movies, I don't know if it's like, I don't know, like
You got less time in your personal life.
All right.
yeah,
right.
Guess how much is Paranormal Activity budget?
I'm gonna say 30 grand.
What about you, Danny?
31 grand.
15 grand.
Wow, damn it! I've got.
What was their box office?
Gross,
I should've got
gross
29.
US and Canada, 107 million.
$107 million.
Do you think that's us? Do you think we spend $150 on a mixer and we make $117 million?
That's crazy.
We have better chances if we
15K.
start OnlyFans.
Don't tell me with a good time.
All right, gentlemen. How about we wrap it up for episode 2? How do we feel?
Oh, that's good. Right.
Did we talk about anything specific?
Nah, it's perfect.
Hey, we're going to do a plug right now. So we're going to be putting our Patreon up. So if you can support us, go ahead and support us. And we're going to put up like a tier where you can just submit like, requests, what you're going to talk about, like things we're good at,
Yeah,
or
buy
things
me a
we're
coffee
like,
sometimes.
or things we're like expert on, like stuff like hobbies and magic or whatever.
Yeah, ask me to talk about things I'm not an expert on it, and I will still talk for an hour.
You can ask Danny like what kind of truck you drive for that tier,
Yeah, after 10 years, I'm still not an expert truck driver either.
But only if you really want to. Only if you like us.
Yeah.
Kissy
So
face.
support us,
Winky.
subscribe, share with your friends.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.